Okay, so this is Jeff. And then so Candace and Bill and I guess Klinker too, as a matter of fact. Big news at City Council chambers. We have a webcam attached to the camera now with a microphone and speakers. So you can log in to that computer using your city email account and password, and then you'll be able to go to.
Hey, excellent.
Great. Hopefully this will be the end of the pandemic then.
Yeah, just when we get everything straightened out.
Be fine with me. If that made it go away, I'd be good with it.
Yeah. Anyway, Jim, we have several in the room here. We have Bill, we have Will, Cazares, Candace, and you. So, and Jeff R. and Dan Rita, of course. Allan, Stevo, did I say? Yeah.
Okay, so all that's missing from the committee is Johnny Hill and Dexter, right?
Yeah, I got.
Yeah. Okay, never mind. I'm talking to myself. Okay, it's 6:02, so we're going to go ahead and start this. This is the regular meeting of the Public Health and Safety Committee, held remotely Tuesday, January 19th, 2021 at 6 p.m. as permitted by Executive Order 2020, -07, signed by Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker on March 15th, March 15, 2020, in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. To participate remotely, download the Zoom app or call 312-626-6799. Public Health and Safety Meeting webinar ID is 892-4375-2176, and the password is 599276. And if anyone had any questions, they were supposed to contact the city clerk. Hey, Randy, while I still got you, is Kimberly Byrne on by any chance?
She is.
Okay, good. I just checked it because she's got a spot on here down in a little bit, so just checking. Okay, so this is the call to order. It is 6:03 p.m. We'll do a roll call. Say present if you're here. Me, present. Bill Fahrenwald.
Present.
Candace Carr.
Present.
Will Cazares.
Present.
Allan Stevo. I know he's there. You're muted, Al.
He's here now. I gotta let him in.
Okay. Come back to him. Johnny Hill is not here, and Dexter Johnson is not here. Chief Reed is here, and Interim Chief Farr is here. We also have Kimberly Byrne, I see. Let me know when Mr. Stevo's in, okay, Randy?
He's in. He has to unmute.
Al, you're muted if you can hear me. I think it's *6. Is that what it is?
Correct. Allan, on your phone, do *6. There you go.
Present. Present.
Okay.
Thank
So we
you.
have 5 committee members present. We're going to move along. Last week I sent you guys the December 2020 minutes. Hopefully everyone got a chance to look at them. Does everybody care to make a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion. Alderman Carr.
Second by anyone?
Second. I'll second.
Fahrenwald, second. Any questions? We'll have to do a roll call. So let's see. I'm an aye. Fahrenwald?
Aye.
Carr?
Aye.
Will? Cazares?
Aye.
And Stevo?
Aye.
Aye, 5 ayes. Motion carries. Public comment shall be by email only. Persons interested in making public comment must email their public comment to jcityblueisland.org by 5 p.m. January 15th. Uh-oh, it's supposed to be the 19th. Email public comments received will be read during the public comment portion of the meeting. I just checked my email 2 minutes ago and I have no emails from anyone. So we'll move on to the fire department business. Chief Dan, you're up.
Good evening, everybody. Happy New Year. You guys should have gotten the packet last, I believe, Thursday I sent it, but we'll go through that. So starting with The usual emergency call responses for December 2020, 280 EMS responses, 82 fire responses, 5 of which were auto aid to the respective towns. Zero mutual aid responses for December. It was a relatively slow month, as you'll see, and there were no real calls of interest, just mostly ambulance calls, some accidents, and no fires, so that was good. Medical reimbursement services collected in December, that is our ambulance billing, totaled $58,085.97, bringing that year-to-date total to $482,705.17. Fire recovery in December, $1,655.81, bringing that year-to-date total to $26,306.71. No false alarm fees, and that total remained at $700. Again, as I just stated, there were very few calls of interest. There were no calls of interest for December. Like I said, a relatively slow month, which for a busy year, and I will get everybody the annual report. I'm still working on it, but highest run total in our history. We had about 40, I think it was 4,288 for the year 2020. So, but that will be reflected in the annual report. And like I said, I hope to have that to you guys by the end of the month here. Flipping the page, general information, continue with the COVID task force. Been preparing for 2021 appropriations, which I'll briefly discuss in our new business. Maintenance wise, the engine from Station 1, 2113, went in for PMs. Had some front end work. We had tie rods and some other stuff wrong with the front end, which caused the tires to wear unevenly. So we had to replace the tires. But that is back and in service. The tower ladder is out of service again. Was in service briefly, but is back out due to an outrigger issue. Hopefully in the next week or so that will get rectified and we can possibly have that back in service and running. Lieutenant Zelinsky performed one inspection. That was for the doctor's pavilion at the former Metro South site. I believe they're at the 5th floors. He went over there, did that. So I think they're actually in there now. So they've occupied that space there, and they will continue to build that out as they go. So that's good news. Excuse me. Our training hours for the month of December total 390 3/4. That is attached as I think the third handout, but that gives the breakdown respectively for all of our members for the month of December. EMS, again, continuing with our response and preparedness for COVID-19. And we have ordered the cardiac monitors and other equipment with the CARES Act money that came in. Our new monitors are scheduled to arrive the first week of February, as is the auto pulse. And we've gotten all the, not all, but most all of the ALS equipment, which we have in storage awaiting, obviously, the approval as we move forward. But that stuff has been ordered and is here. The second page in your packet was the breakdown of our yearly medical reimbursement. As I said, the training hours is number 3. You also have the overtime hours for December. The general one, which lists everybody, and then the detailed one, which goes week by week as to what the reasons were and all of that. And then the last thing in the package should be the 7G. A little bit of an uptick there with 7G, but we had quite a bit going on with EMS. And then we talked about the inspections and Sutkiss with some of the training stuff that he was doing in December, getting everything ready for the year. So that concludes the report. It was short and sweet this month.
Anybody have any questions for the chief on the reports? All right. You got anything you want to go over in old business, chief?
I do briefly, or maybe not so briefly, but I'm just asking everybody next week. Hopefully, I got to talk to Carrie to get on the agenda for the ALS discussion. I just touching base with everybody. Was everybody able to read what I sent out last month? I know it was kind of short notice before that one, but did everybody have any questions about it? Everybody get a chance to look at it?
It was very helpful. Thank you.
Okay. So my thought is to, again, get it on the agenda for the full city council, unless you guys think otherwise, but I think that was what was going to be the plan anyway. But I'm thinking that we have to get that moving forward, because the guys are starting school February 8th, and obviously there's some other concerns. So, that again, if you guys have questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll answer them to the best of my ability. I tried to capture as much of what you guys had asked for in those documents, and hopefully it was helpful. So,
I got a couple, Chief, but I'm going to reach out to you here real soon, you and Carrie.
okay.
So instead of getting into it tonight, but it's just a couple quick questions I have. So, all right.
Okay. Yes,
Thanks.
sir.
Anybody else have anything for the Chief on that? All right. What else you got, Chief?
Just as I mentioned, preparing for the 2021 appropriations, and I do have a meeting with Topeka, or we're going to be setting one soon. But preliminary, I mean, you're going to see it's going to be a little bit of a sticker shock, and certainly like we've done in years past, we'll go back and forth on it. But again, some of the stuff that's in there, just please keep in mind that a lot of these are needs. They're not necessarily wants, and some of it's in respect to the ALS upgrade. Some of it's in relation to obviously replacing our equipment that I don't want to say I've beaten to death, but I think I've expressed through 2020 the need for it. So I just wanted everybody to have kind of an open mind. I don't know, Alderman Klinker, if you want to get together like we did last year beforehand and kind of go over stuff too, or what your thoughts are regarding that. But I just want everybody to know that obviously as we're preparing for this, there's going to be quite a bit in the fire department's budget for this year, and kind of give everybody the heads up so that not everybody's shocked when they see it at the actual meetings when we start getting into the meat of it.
You know, Chief, I'm good with getting together. Why don't you meet with Topeka first and make sure it's okay with her? I sit on finance too, and we've seen nothing so far. So I'm trying not to step on anyone's toes or anything, but obviously I'm interested in, the budget, proposal that's coming up. I'm hoping we'll see, excuse me, something real soon through finance committee as well. I mean, because we're January 19th already. So if, you want to check with her after that meeting and just double check, and, if you want to explain what we did last year, or I just sat down with you and you kind of talked it through with me, and then we can get it through to everyone else.
Okay. Sounds good.
Right. Thanks. Anything else from you, or anybody have any questions for the Chief? All right. You're done, Dan.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. We're going to move on to the police department. What's that? Go ahead, Will.
I was just thanking the chief.
Oh, okay. Police department report. First of all, welcome, Interim Chief Farr. I know you're on the line there.
Yes, I'm here.
So I sent out Chief Farr's report earlier today, and we're going to have him go over it. So go ahead, Chief.
I appreciate it. So we are having a probationary officer into his second phase of training, phase of 4, 2 of 4. So he's doing well. Reports from the coordinator show that he's above average and moving along quite well. We did hire an additional front desk clerk on the 30th of December. I misspoke when I spoke with you, Alderman Klinker, the other day in the office when I said that we were down 4. We are actually down 6. I was referencing the monthly report from December, which is reflective of November. So we are currently at 31 for staff. We are budgeted for 37. That is due to an officer resigning in December, and obviously Chief Arzab retiring at the end of the month. I was sworn in on the 31st, bright and early, 9 o'clock. Chief Arzab did attend some virtual meetings, multiple in fact, over the course of the month. We ran a police officer test. The list was just finalized. We have 54 candidates. Of those 54, 4 are holding law enforcement certificates. I just had a meeting with the civil service, and they approved hiring those 4 first. We defer the cost of $7,000 apiece to send them through state training. So we're gonna save $28,000 by hiring those 4. We did a step grant from December 20th to January 4th. 49 vehicles were stopped, 48 citations were issued, and we have another grant set up February and that is to focus on speeding violations. The department is continuing with the PPEs, cleaning and following instructions, safety protocols, what have you. The clerical total reports, $32,278 was collected through different revenue streams last month. Calls for service, we had almost 2,700 calls for service in December. Of those, 1,052 were calls from citizens. 1,430 were self-initiated. We recovered 4 firearms. We did not use any Narcan last month. We had 18 hours of various training through various officers. Our overtime was exceptionally high, in my opinion. Of the actual overtime of $27,627, $17,400 of that was from investigations. I'll get to that later. As far as departmental projects, we are currently looking to have our roof replaced, as well as our air conditioning system and our entry system, also referred to as fobs. We do have one vendor estimate for $11,350. That is through the current vendor we use for the system we have in place now. However, that quote is also containing work to be done at the 911 center. So we want to cut those 3 doors at the 911 center from the estimate because we're not using it. If the 911 center is going to be used in conjunction with the fire department or city hall, so be it, but the police department shouldn't be flipping the bill on the entire thing. So we called out Videotech, the vendor, to give us an estimate just for the police department. In addition to that, we spoke with another company yesterday. They came out, we ran through the department. Their estimate to give us what we want Videotech to give us was $7,600. So if Videotech comes back with a comparable, competitive estimate from the vendor that we spoke with yesterday, then we'll just go ahead and forge ahead with Videotech. Long-term capital improvements, vehicle replacement plan. We're always looking to get more cars. We go through cars like most people go through Kleenex. As far as the body cams go, the median cost is $16,560. Now that includes the cloud storage and the redaction software. What's not included, however, is the cost of a civilian clerk that we would need to hire, considering all of the FOIA requests that would be coming in. And their starting salary is almost $40,000, I think. So that needs to be considered before we move forward with this body cam. Our fleet, we have like 4 or 5 newer cars still under warranty. The rest are either out of extended warranty or out of manufacturer warranty. But they're holding up. All of them are up in service. Getting back to the overtime with the investigations, an aggravated assault at 121st and Irving. What it was an officer-involved shooting where a subject out on home monitoring for a UUW case pointed a gun at one of our officers. Our officer fired, and the subject was subsequently shot. He was charged accordingly. He was not in any life danger, non-life-threatening injuries. We had an aggravated UUW by felon down on 141st Street. It's an apartment complex down there, apartment building rather. Notorious for trouble. The U.S. Marshals did a warrant, and we just assisted him with it. But there was a sex offender there, and he had a possession of a gun, so he was arrested and charged accordingly by the Marshals. We had a reckless discharge, 129th and Maple. There was a fight outside. The shots were fired. We couldn't we couldn't locate any offender, but we did locate the casings. There was an armed robbery at the Thorntons on 127th Street, involuntary manslaughter, 12456 Fairview. This was a tragedy. You know, it was family members playing around with a gun, and they thought the gun was unloaded, and it wasn't. And the suspect shot his family member in the head. He subsequently passed, and he was charged. We had a homicide down on 2700 block of Des Plaines. This was an ongoing issue, not only during the day, but it was ongoing through all the way back through high school. The actual offenders of that homicide were brought there by their cousin, and shots were fired back and forth. It was a gun battle. One of the offender's sisters was shot in the back, and another subject was ultimately killed. Three of those people were charged with first-degree murder. And then we had the homicide at Tommy's Car Wash. I don't know personally a lot about this, but what I do know is that the offender and the victim knew each other. They're not from Blue Island. They were from the city, or from Cal Park, from Cal City, somewhere over there. They ran into each other. The offender parked his car, walked back, took more than a few, 5, 6, 7 shots at him, and then fled. But he was ultimately charged. In fact, he just went out to bond hearing last night. So that was the reason why our overtime was so high with the investigation. But we don't, all of these manslaughters and homicides, we at least had people charged and currently waiting prosecution. I gave you our UTR codes for November. 62 cases were closed. In November, 27 were still open. As of December, 39 were closed, and 39 are still open. I do have an appointment with Topeka on Thursday. Our appropriations are going to reflect the roof, the AC, and the entry system. I say that now only because there is some grant work being done through Mark Miller, where we may be able to get the air conditioning system, if not for free, then substantially discounted. The entry system, we do have federal funds available that I anticipate spending to ease the burden of the city. And that was the $7,600 quote that I provided you just moments ago. Other than that, do you have any questions?
No, just so everyone, you mentioned the roof, correct, Jeff?
Yes.
Yeah,
the roof.
okay. Go ahead, touch on that if you would.
The roof is deplorable, and you know, Alderman Klinker saw it and can attest to it. We have a leak, and if the fire chief is on the line, we have a leak coming in through one of our floodlights. It's so bad that we put a 55-gallon garbage can under it, and we have to dump it before the night is over. I don't know what the winter is going to bring us, but if we get heavy snow, I'm concerned it's going to collapse. If it doesn't collapse, I'm worried that the snow is going to melt and it's just going to be a downpour. So it's on its last leg. If it lasts through the season, I'd be surprised. And if it does, it's not going to last much longer than that.
So the reason I asked the interim chief to mention that is I know we've talked about the roof. I know we've talked about the air conditioning. Chief Bernie mentioned that a couple times. They were down to 1 out of the 4 possible units. I mean, they've been limping along on a lot of things that actually need repairs. So when people do see this stuff coming up in next year's appropriations, they need to be prepared for it. So thanks, Jeff.
Sure.
Just want to make sure people understand the importance of it, you know? All right. Does anybody have any questions? And take it easy on him because he's new to this. But anybody have any questions for Jeff?
Yeah, Alderman Fahrenwald, I do.
Go ahead, Bill.
Welcome, Chief Farr. I don't think we've met formally, so I'd like to get by and say hi to you pretty soon.
Appreciate that.
I just missed one thing you said. You gave us an amount of money for the body cams, and I missed the amount. Could you repeat that?
It was $16,560. The problem with that is that's the medium cost. That would include cloud storage and redaction software. What that does not include, however, is the need to hire an additional civilian clerk to account for all the excess FOIA requests coming in for the body cams. They're starting out at almost $40,000 now.
Did I read that the governor has announced that body cams are going to be required of all police departments this year? Did I see something about that?
Well, you did read that. However, it's been broken down. As far as Blue Island is concerned, we are not mandated to have body cams until 25.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't mean we can't get them sooner. We just need to be able to pay for them sooner.
Yep.
You know, and for as much of a fan as I am for body cams, if the state's not mandating that we have them until 2025 or 2025, you know, with limited funds we have available, if we don't need the body cams until 25 and we're setting aside money for the body cams, I would much rather put it towards the roof that we need now.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
So Jeff, not to put you on the spot, but all this is being worked into your appropriations when you're talking with Topeka, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
No, you know, that's not correct. It's not correct only because I plan to use forfeiture money to pay for the entry system. But as far as the roof and the AC, yes, that's being put in.
Okay.
Okay.
Bill, you done? Do you have anything else there? I'm sorry.
Nope,
if I
that's all.
interrupted.
Thank you. Thank you. That's it.
Anybody else?
I have a question, Alderman Carr.
Go ahead, Alderman Carr.
Chief, your project on the key fobs, is this a new problem with the key fobs, or is this the continuing one?
It is the continuing one from when the server was attacked with the ransomware a few years ago. It's every other day that, you know, we can't get into the police department. I don't know why it's been kicked down the road so long. I mean, that's for somebody else to answer. But it's important to me that we be able to access our department when needed.
I understand that. Okay, and then the other, this is really a statement. It's not really a question. When you were going over the different events that have happened around town, I noticed you didn't mention the shots fired. I believe it was November the 1st, because it was Halloween. It was a very late Halloween night. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and it was right across the street from where I live.
On Halloween in October?
It was November the 1st at about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
You know, he just he came in at the end of December here. I'm not sure if Chief Arzab even brought that up to him. I know that's something that you had a concern, and we talked to Chief Arzab briefly about. So maybe, Alderman Carr, you can get a hold of Chief Farr and see if he can get you an update on that. Is that what you're looking for?
Well, I just want to express my concern that in the half block area around my house, we have had 4 or 5 different events involving gunfire. You have this involuntary manslaughter on Fairview. The event that happened November 1st, that was right across the street from me. And there's been a couple of other things that have happened. And I'm just concerned because I know everybody says they don't see the police in the neighborhood, but I do not see the police in my neighborhood, and we have all this activity going on.
Alderman Carr, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Since the involuntary manslaughter on December 1st, are you still experiencing those problems?
No. I would have to say no.
Okay. It's my belief, my personal belief, that the incident that happened on December 1st was the root causes of all the issues prior to December 1st. It's my understanding that after the unfortunate tragedy that happened on December 1st, that particular family moved out of Blue Island. And that's why I ask if you experienced any problems since December 1st.
No,
Because I
and
believe that
no, you could be right, because I know that there was a problem with a family in that area.
Yes, yes. But I'm glad to hear that you're not having any issues now. And I'm sorry you were having the issues before, but again, I think it all stemmed from the same family who no longer lives there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
Anyone else with questions? All right. So I'm going to kind of jump ahead here a little bit. Kimberly Byrne, can you hear me there?
Yes. Do you want to maybe go over the new business with the chief, since you were already working with him?
You know what,
hiring of the 4 additional.
Here's what I was thinking on doing is we're going to talk about the officers first and finish up the chief's business, and then we'll go to you. That way, hopefully, you'll have a little more time if that works for you. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Chief, you want to talk about the additional officers that you're looking to hire? That you talked to civil service, you said tonight, correct?
Yes. So civil service tonight, Attorney Horvath informed them that there is current language in the civil service rules that would allow us to hire pre-certified law enforcement officers over the candidates that scored higher, essentially. So we have 4 on our list that are pre-certified. They passed the motion to agree to hire the 4. So we're going to be starting the backgrounds on those 4 tonight. They also approved a motion to start the backgrounds on 3 additional candidates in the event that one of the 4 or 2 of the 4 do not pass our background standards. We would have 6 backgrounds complete, theoretically, and ready for presentation. We're doing that because, as I said, we're down 6, and there is a police academy starting in February 21st. So we need to move quickly on these backgrounds, and if we need to send 2 or 3 down to Macon County, we need to get all of their testing done and forward their names to the academy prior to then. So we're moving quickly on 7 backgrounds.
Okay. So as we discussed, I think it was text or called or whatever, I don't think anyone on this committee would have any problem with hiring additional officers. We're all in favor of public safety. I am going to ask you to just kind of run this by the finance, send it to Alderman Donahue, just so they're aware of what's going on with this too. I know you said that it's within the budget. I just want to make sure that we're, crossing our T's and dotting our I's. So if we just run that by him too. I don't know if he wants to put it on his agenda or not, but just so we're all, on the same page. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have anything else that you want to talk to us about before we get into Ms. Burns' discussion?
No. I think the biggest thing was the vendors.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good. I think I'm good.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we're going to move along here to Ms. Kimberly Byrne. So earlier today, I emailed everyone on the committee her plan or proposal. I don't know what you want to call it, Kim. It's about paid parking lots. It all came about with the whole Ophelia's thing and the Klein's lot and all that stuff. So I know she's been on a couple of other committees. I think she went to municipal services. I think she might have been to community development. I'm not sure if she went to judiciary yet or not, but she wants to kind of give us a brief overview of what her idea is here. I know she's talked to Interim Chief Farr about it. She tried to talk to Chief Arzab before and just they never got together on it. So Kim, you got about 10, 15 minutes if you want, okay?
Great. Thank you, Chairman. Everybody, Chief Farr, it's great to have you on board. Welcome aboard. My name is Kimberly Byrne. I'm the chairman of the Zoning Board of Appeals. And as such, we see appeals hearings for people who are contesting citations. We also hear applications for new businesses in Blue Island, and as of late, we've been hearing more business applications that happen to be around the parking lot, the city parking lot that's across from Eagles and the kind of the Vermont, Artesian, Grove parking lot. I wish we'd name our parking lots. It would be a lot easier to identify them. But anyway, so that kind of quadrant there is really kind of getting pretty stacked with businesses, which is all good news for our city. Unfortunately, is when a new application comes in, often there are parking requirements, and they certainly in that area, they look to the city parking lot to be able to use it. And with all the businesses that are trying to utilize that parking area, it kind of is getting a little, I'm a little concerned that we're going to have a lot of cars trying to park in that parking area. And, excuse me, we're not, because we have kind of limitations on a lot of our parking in our city, period, we don't really have a good direction as far as parking. We have needs. So far, it's kind of working, but as we continue to grow, I think it's going to be really needing some, to be addressed. So I already, as Chairman Klinker mentioned, I've got something that's kind of, I think it's gone through municipal services, and it's sitting in the community development bucket right now to be reviewed, but for a shared parking opportunity, a green shared parking opportunity that actually also sits off of that same parking lot, where we paint a curb green, where it's currently painted yellow, change the ordinance, and as some of the events happen around this parking lot, the businesses encourage the businesses to suggest and work with ride-sharing companies to utilize that capability instead of stacking up cars and worrying about cars looking all throughout the neighborhoods and everything for parking. So speaking of parking, I've been working on this opportunity potentially for this particular parking lot that, what other concepts, ideas could we use, since we're kind of low on money to actually expand our parking capabilities. Sometimes what is a good idea is where there isn't paid parking in an area is to put in paid parking for a number of different reasons. One is to encourage potentially to have people ride share. In this particular instance, I don't know if the price of parking would encourage that so much, but it could over time. But that's kind of one of the things that I wanted to talk to you all about is down in the Metro parking lot, there's paid parking, and my recommendation is to set up a paid parking opportunity in that parking lot. You don't have to put any meters in. There used to be one kind of machine, but now actually there's a service, an application that whether it be PayPal or another service that's on the sign in the brochure. I'm echoing here.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there.
Yeah, because I didn't change anything. Anyway, so I'm going to keep going. So there's a sign in the brochure that I sent out that kind of has some direction about the options of pay parking. And so my recommendation is to, one, utilize the same services that's down in the Metro parking lot. And number two, so there wouldn't need to be any purchasing of anything other than maybe some signage. There needs to be some communication with the businesses in the area to ensure that they understand the opportunity. Again, if we were to utilize the same pricing strategy, which is like $1.25, looks like commuter parking $1.25 daily. I mean, we could use that, or we could use other pricing strategies for that area. My suggestion would be not to have paid parking from say 3 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock at night, because those parking lots are currently also being used by city employees. So the idea would be to utilize paid parking in the evenings. So from 6 o'clock in the evening or 5 o'clock in the evening until 3 o'clock in the morning, which is when I think our city closes, especially on weekends, to allow businesses to be open until then and people can clear out before then. So that would be an option. One thing that I would recommend that I happen to notice that's in the top picture says commuter parking kind of daily. Something I would recommend to the city to reconsider is that sign that says daily. Is that 12 hours a day? Is it 8 hours a day? Is it, you're not really giving any type of hours. You're giving sort of an ambiguous time frame. So if we had, Randy?
I can answer that if you like.
Okay, great.
For the commuter parking lot, it's a day, a work day basically. It's officially 20 hours, and it's the app is Passport Parking. It's officially a 20-hour thing. So if they park at 7 in the morning, it's good till 4 in the morning or 3 in the morning. I'm sorry.
If we were to consider, thank you for that explanation. If we were to consider the same type of model or a similar type of model in this particular parking lot, I would personally recommend that maybe we put, up to 20 hours or maybe a little bit clearer, just to help both the commuters or users as well as to help the police. In any ambiguity of people trying to argue, I was here, I did pay, I did, do everything, and because it's really not as clear, at least on the sign, I just would like to recommend that sort of change, if this is an idea that the city would be interested in.
Hey Kim, it's Jim Klinker here.
Yeah.
So we're gonna let you go until about 6:50 because there is another meeting at 7, and I do have a couple aldermen's concerns I know that they want to address. So I know we talked about, this is public health and safety. I know you mentioned, obviously, the police would be involved as far as writing tickets and stuff. And as far as like what times the signs say, I think that would be more along the lines of hopefully the community development or someone along that lines. So I'm just giving you like a heads up. You got about another 6 minutes or so. Not trying to cut you short, but I'm trying to keep the meeting on schedule, all right?
I got you. Yep. Okay. So I talked to Chief Farr, and he seemed to be on board with, this type of thinking. He definitely considered it. There's already support from a police perspective in monitoring the parking lot, so there's no additional, or there's not considerably a different additional needs. Definitely, there's more time because it's a new parking lot. But anyway, so it's an opportunity. Now, there was a concern that was brought to my attention that because we have city meetings in the same vicinity, that parking needs to be available to people who want to come into the city meetings. This may be something that someone, either Clerk Heuser or Randy, can help to respond to, but there is parking out there. If we were to go to $1.25, to me that seems very nominal. However, there's also parking that is not in the parking lot that's open on Greenwood, on Artesian, Grove, in front of the city buildings that, doesn't have any type of parking requirements, really, as long as it's not commercial parking, cars parking vehicles. So I think I'm trying to check the box to say, yes, there's available parking for anybody who wants to attend the city meetings, open and available. You can either pay for it or you can park in the other street parking that's available. But I think the opportunity to start to really think more about how do we control this parking lot or look at the options of how we control it is really what I'm trying to put on the table for the city to benefit some of that money could potentially go towards maintenance of the parking lot, which is, if it's going to be used more often in the evenings and, busier, then if anything can kind of help to support that, that would be, I'm sure, a good idea. That would be my opinion. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
Anyone have any questions for Ms. Byrne?
I'd just say real quickly, I think it's a good idea. I like the idea that you're promoting, and so I'm pretty much supporting it. I can see the issue around city meetings. We might need to think about that, but seems like a good basic idea.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Byrne. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chairman.
All right. So we're still in police business. I don't know, Chief Farr, did you have anything else?
No, but if I could just touch on what Kim was saying, on the nights of city business, we could just not enforce it, for until an hour after the city business is complete.
Okay.
To that point, Chief, one of the things that I also considered was, on the city meetings, there could be a handout or somebody standing at the parking lot or whatever. Anybody who's going to be attending the meetings, they could put something in the dashboard or something that's good for these particular hours or something like that. So that's a little bit more work, but it's an opportunity there as well to kind of do your point.
Yeah, well, historically, we've had police officers at the city meetings. Not all, but most. So I agree it would be more work, but there would already officers be there directing traffic and getting people across the street. So that's also a possibility in utilizing those officers there as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Chief, I have one quick question talking about parking. Are B plates allowed to be parked on the street overnight, like on a work truck?
B plates, yes.
They are.
B plates are, yes.
So I'm getting complaints about
commercial trucks are not.
Okay, so it's a commercial truck with a B plate on it. It's got the name of a business on the side of it. And actually, it's more than one. It's 3 or 4 parking on a residential street. That is illegal?
If it's a commercial vehicle, then yes.
Okay, I'll be talking to you then about it. I'll give you some information, okay?
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Can I be part of that conversation, please? I have some
Go ahead, Randy.
input on that. No, when you guys talk, if I could be part of that too.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right. Sure.
Thanks.
Randy, you got some kind of a filter. You sound like you're the Marlboro Man or something. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know.
Yeah, I thought that was just Randy's deep voice. I wasn't sure what was going on there. So
I don't know.
It's impressive.
You know what else?
I'll say it's impressive.
Before we get to Alderman's concerns, anybody else have anything on police department business? Okay, with that being said, we're going to move on to Alderman concerns. I have 2 from Alderman Stevo. Alderman Stevo, Animal Control Officer is first on the agenda. You want to talk about that, please?
Thank you, Chairman Klinker. Chief Farr, congratulations, welcome, and we look forward to working with you. Chief Farr, you're welcome. Is there currently an animal control officer in your department?
Our manpower does not allow us to have a designated animal control officer. Typically, there's one officer on each shift that will wrangle up a dog or 2 during their duty. As far as wildlife, we utilize the Cook County Animal Control, but no, we don't have a designated officer.
I see. I've had some concerns, quite a few, in fact, and I'd like to, possibly with these new 4 officers you're hiring, I'd like to maybe put in the budget as well that you assign at least one patrolman, and that could be part of his duties. It wouldn't take up a lot of time, but it would be very beneficial with the problems we have in the city, and I could talk to you about that further.
Okay. Well, let's schedule a meeting to discuss that further.
Okay, thank you. Getting on the coal case, I asked Chief Arzab in December if she would please put Robbie Silva and Carlos Salgado in the cold case file, and she agreed to, but I understand it didn't make it there yet. And I'm respectfully requesting if you could do that, if you could put them in the cold case file.
Well, I'm a little bit confused by your question, only because we don't have a cold case unit. Blue Island. What I can tell you, however, is that both cases not only were investigated by Blue Island, but they also had their independent investigations conducted. As far as Salgado, it was Dick Devine, and they were he was contracted through the Calumet Township. And as far as Silva, it was the South Suburban Major Crimes Task Force, and both came to the same conclusion as our original investigation. The South Suburban Major Crimes Task Force is also manned by the Illinois State Police. So just because it was South Suburban Crime Task Force that conducted the investigation, there was also Illinois State Police element to that task force, which essentially is a state police investigation. So I don't know what to tell you as far as a cold case unit, but we don't have one, and there were 2 independent investigations already conducted.
Were you able to read the Dick Devine report?
Me personally, no. Both of those cases, well, I don't want to say both. One of them, the Robbie Silva case, that actually occurred while I was detailed out to the DEA. So I have no knowledge of that particular case. The Salgado case, I was here. I was back in Blue Island when that happened. I was unfortunately working that morning, actually. But I personally did not see any investigative reports pertaining to Salgado, nor did I personally see any reports from the independent investigation.
How could Blue Island have a cold case department? How can we have that?
Well, our manpower issue is one that would be stifling, the most stifling factor to that. We're just not big enough of a municipality that would have that sort of specialty unit. It's a money issue, unfortunately.
There's quite a bit of concern in the community about these 2 cases in particular, and how a body was found and nobody went to jail. Bodies were found and nobody went to jail. And what we're asking for is, the community's asking for justice for Robbie Silva and for Carlos Salgado. They're asking for justice. And we need a cold case, if it would be detectives in the city here. We need something to move this along.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but we don't have that. We don't have that unit. The state police would have that unit, but again, they were already working the Silva case. So to propose to them to take on something that they were already a part of, I'm not sure how receptive they would be to that, as they are not, obligated to just take any case we ask them to take.
This is Alderman Fahrenwald. I'd like to kind of support what Alderman Stevo's talking about. If you've read the lawsuit that was filed by the Silva family against the city, there are just a number of red flags in that document. No way to know what is true, what is not true, but there was a lot of testimony, a lot of depositions, sworn under oath, that really point to, in the Robbie Silva case, some major questions. And it cost the city $2 million, to settle that case, on top of the fact that a child was killed and nobody knows how. And so it is very disturbing. And I understand, Chief Farr, the problem with money. I get that completely. But I don't know that the state police, maybe, I don't know how this process works, but I know that lawsuit was filed after their investigation had concluded. And it certainly unearths a lot of extraordinarily disturbing issues, potential facts, things that really kind of make your hair stand up when you read that. I would recommend, when you get a chance, that you do read that lawsuit. It is quite a document. And that's all I'll say. There's issues out there that are unsettling, to say the least.
Okay, this is Jim Klinker. I'd like to jump in here real quick. Who's talking? Go ahead, Jeff.
I'm sorry, Alderman, can I ask if it was Silva versus Blue Island, do you know?
It was yes, more or less. Yes, it was. I think, I don't know if that would be the name of the case, but it was the families. No, I'm sorry. No, that's not true. No, it was Officer, the name is escaping me at the moment.
Haro.
Yeah, Officer Haro's suit that it cost the city another $2 million. So it's a mess.
Okay, I'm gonna jump in here real quick, Jeff.
Yeah.
This is Jim Klinker real quick, just to kind of shed a little bit of light on this, because obviously you're not completely up to date on it. There has been some question in the past, Alderman Stevo asked before he was an alderman, over a year ago, about possibly looking into obstruction of justice charges against some of the officers that were involved, some of the officers that were included in the lawsuit. I pressed the mayor on that 3 or 4 times. I emailed him. I finally got an answer, was that he had sent it to the state's attorney's office. I have forwarded that email to Mr. Stevo, so that's where that's at, if that's what we're referring to. As far as a cold case, the division, if you want to call it that, I mean, obviously that's something that Jeff would be in favor of, but it's going to cost quite a bit of money. So if we want to talk about that during appropriations time, it's probably the time to talk about it. But, you know, I mean, there's different things we need to spend money on. Is that something? It fits into where everyone's priorities is. So, I mean, we could talk about cold case all night long and not get anywhere with this committee. So if it's something, Mr. Stevo, that you're that adamant about, I suggest you bring it up. You've already brought it up to Jeff here, and also Finance Committee. So when we are working on appropriations, that could be included.
Chief Farr, if you could also read some of the depositions in the Robbie Silva case. The depositions.
And that's also Haro versus Blue Island?
Yes.
Okay.
And I look forward to talking to you about both these concerns in the future. Thank you, Chief Farr.
And Alderman Stevo, as I said before too, I know you've brought this up at a council meeting. I think the mayor would be a good place to go with this too, to see what he in fact supports behind, to do with this too. So just a suggestion. Does anyone else have any other alderman concerns or comments?
No.
All right, looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Alderman Fahrenwald.
Motion by
second.
Bill,
Cazares.
second by
Cazares.
Cazares. We're gonna do a roll call here. So I'm an aye. Fahrenwald,
Aye.
Carr,
Aye.
Cazares,
Aye.
and Stevo.
Aye.
All right, motion, the meeting's adjourned at 6:58. Our next meeting is Tuesday, February 16th, 2021, 6 p.m. I'm assuming it's still going to be on Zoom. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Byrne.